I will imprison you in this palace forever. The words left my mouth as if they had always been waiting there, carved into the bones of the palace, whispered by the wind through its marble corridors. I remember the way her eyes widened, not with fear at first, but with that peculiar, dangerous curiosity that has always set her apart from the others. The look of someone who measures every chain for its weight and every door for the thinness of its lock. I meant it, of course, not because I delight in cruelty, but because I cannot imagine a life in which she is allowed to wander like some free bird and never return to the place that has become the center of my world. To keep her here is not merely control, it is an attempt to press time flat so that one glance, one laugh, one temperamental silence can be replayed until the edges are smooth and the ache inside me is made bearable. The palace is my world and her presence inside it is the only geometry that makes sense. Every corridor, every portrait, every failing candle suddenly takes on the right angle. People will call me tyrant for my words. They will not understand that my so-called imprisonment is also a promise to shield her from the cold, from the shallow suitors who count gold as character from the outside that has a way of hollowing people out into polite shadows. I have watched her on the terrace at dawn, arms wrapped around a cup of tea like a small defiant son. I have watched her stump through the kitchens, scolding a cook with an impatient smile that should have belonged to a queen and not to someone who still carries the smell of the market in her hair. To lose that, to let her be worn thin by seasons and strangers, feels to me like theft, and thieves are punished in my court. Yet even as I wrap my motivations in rhetoric of protection, I am stubbornly, painfully aware of the taste of selfishness on my tongue. I want her nearby because distance makes me small. I want her constrained because her freedom implies a future in which she might not need me at all. Sometimes at night, I stand at the threshold of her chamber and watch her sleep, cataloging the smallest rebellions she does not know she commits, the way she tucks a stray lock of hair behind her ear, the way her fist loosens and opens as if reaching for a question without words. There is a cruelty in me that delights in possession, in the neatness of labels and the safety of ownership. But there is also a terror, the terror that comes from realizing what I have taken. The palace is vast, but my heart is a smaller, darker room, and she moves through it like a light, illuminating everything I would rather keep hidden. I have told myself more than once that what I offer is sanctuary. What I know now is the truth and the lie wrapped tightly together. Mercy and domination live on the same coin in my palm, and my fingers have trouble deciding which to spend. If this is imprisonment, then perhaps there is a strange mercy in a jail where she laughs and argues and rearranges the tapestries to suit her mood. Perhaps love is not, after all, a question of change but of borders we draw to keep what matters from slipping into oblivion. Still, every time she meets my gaze with that stubborn spark, I hear a clock in my chest begin to tick toward something I cannot name, either the soft unraveling of my carefully constructed world, or the day she will walk beyond my gates and never look back. For now, I will keep the windows closed and the gates bolted. For now, I will watch, possess, and protect in equal measure. If this palace must be a cage to hold the thing that makes me human, so be it. But I will not pretend that the cage is anything but mine, and she will always know which hands made it. The palace feels different now, not because its structure has changed, but because every wall remembers her. The silence that once soothed me now feels like a mockery of her absence, yet she still walks these halls, alive and untamed, like a storm confined in glass. I tell myself I have done the right thing, that keeping her here is justice, not cruelty, that love when it burns this deep, must have rules, borders, and walls. But at night, when the candles flicker low and the corridors echo with the sigh of the wind, I hear her laughter from the garden, faint and haunting, as though the palace itself mocks me for confusing desire with devotion. She has made this place her own rebellion, a golden prison she refuses to fear. Sometimes I find her sitting by the fountain, her reflection dancing on the rippling water, her eyes lost somewhere far beyond these walls. She speaks little to me now. Her silence has grown sharp, like the edge of a blade she hides behind her calm. I wonder if she understands what she's done to me, how she has dismantled every certainty I once held. Before her, I ruled this kingdom with an iron will untouched by softness or sentiment, but now one glance from her is enough to unravel my command, to turn the man who conquered lands into someone who kneels before a single unspoken word. And still I cannot free her. Freedom would mean losing her completely, and I am too weak, too selfish to survive that loss. I watch her through the veil of distance I created, and I find myself questioning who the prisoner truly is. She walks the corridors like a queen of her own making, her defiance more royal than any crown I've worn. Every time she passes, the servants bow, not to me but to her. They do not see the chains I see, they see the fire, the grace, the strange power that has somehow made the cage beautiful. I begin to realize that perhaps she was never mine to own. Perhaps I am the one imprisoned, trapped by obsession, by the ghost of a love that demands everything but gives nothing back. The nights have become longer since she stopped speaking to me. I sit in the grand hall, surrounded by portraits of ancestors who would curse me if they knew what I had become. Their painted eyes follow me, cold, accusing, as if they too can see the truth. This is not love, not in the way the poets sing of it. It is something darker, something born of loneliness and hunger for control. And yet I cannot unmake it. There is no undoing what I have already done. I have turned my heart into a fortress and filled it with shadows. To open the gates now would mean tearing down the last remnants of who I am. There are moments, rare, fleeting, when I catch a glimpse of tenderness in her eyes. It happens when she thinks I'm not watching, when she reads in the library at dawn, when she hums a forgotten tune to herself, when her hands linger on the carved stone of the balcony, as if remembering freedom. In those moments, I almost believe she could forgive me. But forgiveness, I know, is a luxury for those who haven't sinned so completely. I do not deserve her mercy any more than she deserves this confinement, and still I crave it. I crave her gaze, her anger, her voice, anything that reminds me I still exist to her in some form, even as her enemy. The palace has begun to mirror my guilt. The roses in the garden bloom too early, their petals bruised by frost. The fountains whisper secrets in languages I cannot name. Even the stars above the courtyard seem dimmer now, as if ashamed to shine upon what I've done. The kingdom outside remains loyal, unaware of the quiet tragedy festering behind these golden gates. They see their prince as strong, disciplined, unwavering. They do not see the man who lies awake each night, torn between opening the door to set her free and bolting it tighter just to feel safe a little longer. And yet, deep down, I know how this will end. No prison, not even one built with love and fear, can hold a soul like hers forever. One day, the walls will crack. One day, the silence will break, and she will walk through the ruin I made, her steps echoing like judgment. And I, the prince who tried to cage the light, will be left in the darkness of my own making. Perhaps that is justice. Perhaps that is love, not the kind that saves, but the kind that destroys, to remember what it once meant to feel. The days began to blur together, as though time itself had grown tired of me. Each sunrise felt like a repetition of the same ache, a wound that refused to heal. She moved through the palace like a quiet storm, her presence both torment and comfort. I could hear her footsteps in the corridor, outside my chamber, light and deliberate, the sound of freedom pretending to be obedience. Sometimes I'd stand behind the door, hand on the cold brass handle, resisting the urge to open it. What would I say if I did? That I miss her laughter? That I wish I could unmake the walls that keep her here? No. I have never been a man of apologies, only of actions, and every action I've taken has been a chain disguised as devotion. At first, I thought keeping her close would tame the chaos inside me, that by possessing her, I would silence the noise that has haunted me since boyhood, the echo of absence, the fear of being unloved. But she has become the mirror I cannot look away from. Every defiant glance she throws at me shows me what I've become. A man driven not by love, but by the terror of losing it. I built this palace to be indestructible, yet one woman's silence has made it feel fragile. I once believed power meant control. Now I see it for what it truly is, a mask worn by cowards who are afraid to be alone. When I watch her from afar, tending to the garden or reading beneath the tall windows, something inside me unravels. She looks so alive in her stillness, so untouched by the darkness I try to drown her in. I begin to realize that no matter how high the walls, I cannot contain her spirit. She breathes defiance into every corner of this place, turning confinement into something sacred. The servants adore her, the palace bends to her will, and I, the prince, the supposed master of this kingdom, have become her shadow. There is irony in that. I took her freedom only to find she has taken mine. I remember the night she arrived, the rain falling like shattered glass, her eyes cold with disbelief. She didn't scream or plead, she only stared at me, as if trying to read the lie beneath my crown. "You can't keep me here," she had said, her voice calm and cutting. And I, foolishly mistaking arrogance for strength, replied, "I already am." That moment replays in my mind like a curse. Every word since then has been a consequence of that one sentence, a single act of pride that has bound us both in chains neither of us can escape. There are nights when I stand on the balcony, staring at the gates I swore would never open again. The moonlight spills across the courtyard like liquid silver, touching every stone she has walked on. I imagine what would happen if I simply let her go. Would she look back? Would she forgive me? Or would she vanish into the horizon, leaving me to rot inside the emptiness I created? The thought terrifies me more than death. Because what am I without her? Just a crown on an empty head? A king of ruins, ruling over the ghost of a love I destroyed with my own hands? I try to tell myself that I still love her, that this obsession is only proof of that love's depth. But love is not supposed to hurt like this. It's not supposed to feel like drowning in a sea you built yourself. When she passes me in the halls and refuses to meet my gaze, it feels like punishment, a quiet, endless one. Her silence has become my executioner. She doesn't need to raise her voice or lift her hand. Her indifference kills me more than any blade could. And still I cannot stop. I am drawn to her, to the very pain she brings, because it reminds me that I am still capable of feeling. Perhaps this is my fate, to love what I cannot keep, to build walls only to find myself trapped behind them. I used to believe the gods favored kings, but now I see their cruel humor. They gave me everything but peace. Maybe one day she will walk away, and this palace will crumble into dust. Maybe that's the only way for her to live, and for me to die as the man I was meant to be. Until then, I will continue to haunt these halls, waiting for her shadow, listening for her footsteps, the only sound that still makes this prison feel alive. The rain returned tonight, a slow, relentless drizzle that seeps through the stone and makes the air heavy with memory. I walked the length of the corridor, fingers brushing the carved walls, feeling the chill seep into my bones. Each drop outside seemed to echo my heartbeat, dull, measured, aching. She hates the rain, I remember that. It makes her restless, reminds her of the night she arrived. I wonder if she stands by the window even now, watching the storm with the same quiet defiance that first drew me to her. I wonder if she still dreams of running away while I, the man who should have been her protector, became the reason she cannot. The thought gnaws at me until sleep feels like a luxury I no longer deserve. The palace is alive with whispers. Servants speak softly, afraid to meet my eyes. They see what I refuse to admit, that my control is slipping. There are flowers in her chamber now that I did not send music from the courtyard that she must have ordered. She moves through the castle as if testing the boundaries, daring me to react, and I find that I cannot. Every rebellion of hers feels like a small victory for both of us, a reminder that there is still something human left between the walls I built. It should anger me, but instead it fills me with a strange, hollow pride. She is learning how to live even here, and somehow I love her more for it. Sometimes I catch her looking at me during the quiet hours of dusk, when the world outside blurs into shades of gold and gray. Her gaze is not soft, not forgiving, but it is real. It sees through the layers of my arrogance and finds the man buried beneath, the boy who lost his mother too soon, who was taught that love is just another form of power. I want to tell her that I'm sorry, that I never meant for this love to become a cage. But the words die before reaching my lips. A prince's apology feels empty when the chains still remain. So instead, I stand in silence, pretending not to see the distance that has already settled between us. The nights are the worst. The palace grows too quiet, and her absence in my chambers becomes unbearable. I remember the first time she laughed here. A rare, unexpected sound that filled the entire room like light through a crack in the dark. I have chased that sound ever since, desperate to hear it again. But laughter cannot live where freedom does not. The realization is cruel, but I cling to the hope that one day, perhaps, she will understand that everything I did was out of fear, not of her leaving, but of her never belonging. There is a difference, subtle but deadly. One destroys the heart, the other consumes the soul. I walk through the garden at dawn now, the one she tends so carefully. The roses bloom early, their petals slick with dew. They remind me of her, fragile yet defiant, soft yet capable of drawing blood. I think of how she once told me that nothing truly grows in captivity. I dismissed it then, but now I see it everywhere. The vines climbing the walls are reaching for the cracks in the stone, desperate for sunlight. Even the earth beneath my feet rebels against confinement. Maybe love is the same. It either grows wild or it dies gasping for air. I am beginning to understand that I have asked it to do the impossible. There are moments now when I imagine letting her go. The thought terrifies me, but it also feels like the only path left. What kind of love survives only when caged? Perhaps setting her free would not be my punishment, but my redemption. Maybe she would not hate me forever. Maybe she would carry a piece of me, not as her captor, but as the man who finally understood what love should have been. Yet, each time I approach the gates, my courage falters. I see the open world beyond, and I see the empty halls behind me, and I know that once she leaves, this palace will truly die. Still, there is a part of me that whispers, "Let her go." That voice grows louder each day, eroding the walls of my pride. I think it is hers, her spirit finding a way into my thoughts, guiding me toward the end neither of us can speak aloud. One day soon I will open the gates, not because I want to lose her, but because I finally understand that love cannot survive where freedom does not exist. And when she walks away, I will not call her name. I will watch until she disappears beyond the horizon, and then, only then, will I finally understand what it means